Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me here today. My name is Obum Ekeke, and I'm the head of education partnerships at Google DeepMind. So for this session, let's imagine for a moment. Imagine 10 or 20 years into the future. Imagine a future where the people designing AI systems are truly representative of the wider society. What problems will AI be used to solve? Whose voices will be heard? And whose values will be represented? Who will these AI tools be built for? Also imagine a world where AI makes everyone's lives better, say by enabling accurate diagnosis and treatment of disease from anywhere in the world, or by dramatically improving energy efficiency and thereby reducing carbon emissions, or perhaps through better climate modeling, helping mitigate the impact of climate change on the most vulnerable communities. How do we make such a world happen? Well, as a first step, we have to recognize these opportunities as opportunities and choose to work on the problems that are important. That means tapping into the knowledge, the life experiences, and the perspectives of all kinds of people who see these issues, understand their importance, and want to make this a reality. At Google DeepMind, my job is to think about who the next generation of leaders in AI will be and how we can take steps to ensure they are truly representative of the wider world. Google DeepMind is a unit within Google that aims to build AI responsibly and deliver scientific breakthroughs and products that improve people's lives across the world. What does this look like in practice? For one, we take an intentional approach, carefully evaluating risk, incorporating feedback, and pursuing research, applications, and partnerships that maximize the benefits of AI. We also take a deliberate approach to deployment, assessing the balance of potential benefits and harms before releasing our technology to the public. We are continuously questioning our own assumptions of how AI can and should be built and used, inviting discussion and debate, iterating as we learn, building in social and technical safeguards, and seeking out diverse perspectives. AI needs to benefit everyone, not just those who build it. To highlight some of the positive impacts AI is already having today, I wanted to talk briefly to you about AlphaFold, our first invention in biology. AlphaFold is an AI system that can predict the 3D structures of proteins. Proteins are the building blocks of life, and a protein's shape is closely linked with its function, meaning that once we know a protein's structure, we can better understand what it does and how it works. But historically, figuring out the exact structure of a protein was a hugely expensive and time-consuming process. This changed last year when we released the protein structures of almost every organism on Earth that has had its genome sequenced through the AlphaFold database. These structures are freely and openly available to the global research community accelerating, expanding, and democratizing science. And to date, more than 1.4 million researchers from more than 190 countries have accessed the database. AlphaFold's predictions are being used to design vaccines for diseases like malaria, create treatments for liver cancer and Parkinson's disease, tackle pollution through creating plastic-eating enzymes, and much more. The opportunities are endless. Another way AI is now advancing science is with alpha missense. Missense variants are genetic mutations that can affect the function of human proteins. In some cases, they can lead to serious diseases such as cystic fibrosis or cancer. Last month, we released a catalog of missense mutations where researchers can learn more about what effect they may have. Our AI model AlphaMissense was able to categorize 89% of all 71 million possible missense variants as either likely disease-causing or likely benign. By contrast, only 0.1% had been confirmed by human experts. By using AI predictions, researchers can preview thousands of proteins at a time, helping to prioritize resources and accelerate more complex studies. To help advance scientists' understanding of diseases and accelerate drug discovery, we've also made this catalog freely available to the global research community and open-sourced the model code for AlphaMissense. So AI can provide extraordinary benefits, but like any transformative technology, it can also have serious risk and negative impacts unless it's built and used responsibly. How can AI benefit society without reinforcing bias and unfairness? How can we build computer systems that invent new ideas, but also reliably behave in ways we want? Google DeepMind also has teams focusing on the ethical and social implications of AI, including risk of harm. Our teams publish papers on a range of topics and conduct research to help anticipate short and long-term risk, explore ways to prevent these risks from happening, and find ways to address them if they do. To give one specific example, we've published a paper on decolonial AI, which uses decolonial theory, employing historical hindsight to explain patterns of power that shape our intellectual, political, economic, and social world. Our research explored the role of critical science and in particular of post-colonial and decolonial theories in understanding and shaping the ongoing advances in AI. We propose that by embedding a decolonial critical approach within its technical practice, AI communities can develop foresight and tactics that can better align research and technology development with established ethical principles, centering vulnerable people who continue to bear the brunt of negative impacts of innovation and scientific progress. As part of this, we highlighted problematic applications that are instances of coloniality and proposed tactics that can form a decolonial field of AI. Or take our recent paper which explored queer concerns across aspects such as privacy, censorship, and online safety to study the positive and negative impacts of AI on LGBTQ plus communities. Our research highlighted the importance of developing new approaches for algorithmic fairness that break away from the prevailing assumption of observed characteristics and advocated for more research to understand the holistic effects of AI on these communities. These are just a few examples of the ways in which we think about the broader societal and community impacts of AI. The world is full of complex puzzles and problems. How can we make sense of the universe? Is there a solution to climate change? Or how can we prevent a disease? AI has the potential to help solve some of these biggest challenges humanity is facing today. But it must be built safely and responsibly for it to benefit everyone. No single discipline nor a single viewpoint has all the answers needed to build this transformational technology in a safe and beneficial way. It's not down to one organization to do this. The government has a role to play. We need to partner with other companies and organizations. We need to work with academic institutions. Success depends on many teams and many perspectives joining together for a shared goal. And crucially, we need to treat diversity, equity, and inclusion as top priorities. By increasing diversity in AI, we bring diverse values, hopes, and concerns into the design and deployment of AI. This is not optional or a nice to have. It's critical. The challenges of bringing the benefits of AI to all of society are significant. Individual algorithms need to be fair. They need to not be biased against particular groups. And AI needs to create local benefits for everyone, not just those who live in countries with a strong research presence. Addressing this problem is a significant challenge. It will require a more diverse workforce, a more democratic spread of AI expertise across the world, and the inclusion of a broader set of perspectives in building products and algorithms. So if diversity is so critical to ensure innovation and prevent harms from this technology, why then is the field of AI so overwhelmingly white and male? I don't need to set out the statistics for everyone here to grasp the scale of the imbalances in tech and AI. For most, it just takes a look around the office or lecture theater or a scan of a group video call. These imbalances are not only gender, they are racial, they are socioeconomic, they are geographical. We must be intersectional in our thinking and our strategies. Critically, these disparities set in long before people reach employment. They are the result of systemic racism and sexism over hundreds of years. Change requires every one of us to deepen our understanding of the systemic nature of underrepresentation and to collaborate across sectors to make meaningful interventions at every stage of the pipeline, from primary education all the way to job progression. When it comes to AI, where jobs often require a postgraduate qualification, they become more acute. On the previous slide, I said I don't need to set out the statistics around the imbalances in tech and AI, but I do want to highlight three stats which bring the scale of these issues into perspective. According to UK government and HISA data, only 2.5% of school teachers, less than 1% of university professors, and just 10 of the 340 people who graduated with postgraduate research degrees in computer science in the UK in 2021-22 were black. These figures are compounded by narrow curricula, insufficient role models in leadership positions, a lack of options for promising students, minimal funding for postgraduate study, and network-based PhD admission processes. What are we doing to help change this? Our vision for our education work at Google DeepMind is that we want to contribute to building a stronger, a more diverse, and an inclusive global AI community where everyone can participate irrespective of their background. I have experienced firsthand how the promises of technology can inspire people's careers. They inspired mine. I grew up in a very rural and poor village in Nigeria. When I was in secondary school, I hadn't gone to the city before. But there was this boy about my age who went to the city on holidays. One of the days we were playing and he said to me, he saw these cars in the city and somebody tried to touch the car and the car started shouting. And he said to me that you could actually go to the university and study the thing that made the car to shout. So I went to university and studied computer science. Later, I realized that what this boy was talking about was just a remote control for the car. Alarm, right? Which has nothing to do with computer science. But what that did for me, it actually helped me to develop an interest in technology and a desire to learn more about it and how it could solve problems that existed in my community, from agriculture to healthcare and beyond. So how can we support people to get into the field of AI? At the secondary school level, a top priority should be to invest in long-term preparatory programs designed to increase enrollment of students from underrepresented groups into undergraduate degrees in AI fields. We must also support underrepresented students' attainment, particularly in math and science at GCSE and A-level, and encourage female students' interest in STEM. One way to do this is for companies to increase their support for informal curriculum and enrichment activities in STEM subjects for school teachers and students. At Google DeepMind, we've partnered with the Raspberry Pi Foundation in the UK to co-create Experience AI, a new learning program with free lesson plans, slide decks, worksheets, and videos to address gaps in AI education and support teachers in engaging and inspiring young people in the subject. The partnership is built on a shared vision to make AI education more inclusive and accessible. At the undergraduate level, we should encourage new forms of work and research experience schemes to give undergraduate students early practical exposure to research career pathways and to help them to transition to postgraduate study or gain industry employment. At the postgraduate level, scholarships are one way to remove barriers to postgraduate study. But this must be about more than financial support. They should provide pastoral support and a professional community through mentoring and access to industry events. Since 2017, Google DeepMind has supported 300 postgraduate students to get into the field of AI from 26 institutions across 13 countries around the world, including regions underrepresented in AI like Africa and Latin America. We offer both financial support plus insightful events and one-to-one direct mentoring from our researchers and engineers. But for AI research, the journey doesn't stop there. At the postdoctoral and broader research community level, more support is needed for early career researchers from underrepresented groups, especially Black researchers. Again, at Google DeepMind, we've partnered with leading UK universities to encourage early career researchers to pursue postdoc study in AI and hopefully transition to permanent faculty positions at leading universities. That way, they can become visible academic role models and help train the next generation of diverse researchers in the field. Engaging with informal learning grassroots communities is also critical to building an inclusive research community. There are many fantastic peer networks giving a voice to underrepresented groups in AI. Women, Black in AI, queer in AI, lesbians who tech, and color in tech are just a few examples. But of course, education is only one side of the equation. This is not to ignore a vital element of why the tech industry suffers from underrepresentation. Disparities may set in long before someone submits a job application or even enters the classroom. They continue long after someone enters employment. Once you have a foot in the door of industry or academia, how can you get on? If you are a Black person like me in a majority white environment, or a woman in male-dominated environment, how can you feel safe enough to share an opinion that is different from the rest of the room? How can we ensure that the right support is there so underrepresented team members can thrive, be promoted, and be valued? Dedicating time and resources to education for future generations of leaders does not mean ignoring other immediate issues. It means doing both. For example, we must continue to encourage inclusive meeting practices. We must encourage ongoing education about stereotypes, bias, and how equity plays out in a workplace. Allyship training is also a must. We need to review processes with high impact on people and their progress through the prism of equity and fairness. Processes like hiring, promotion, and even who gets to which project. We should establish employee resource groups such as gender and feminism groups and LGBTQ plus groups, disability groups, parents groups. I personally belong to the Google DeepMind People of Color Employee Resource Group. But most importantly, we need to make sure that leaders, managers, and every individual in the organization is accountable for change, and that diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are recognized, not as a side job, but as part of the work itself. So what can you do? What can we all do to inspire the next generation of leaders, people who will bring the tremendous benefit of AI to everyone? A fairer world won't emerge by accident, and it won't emerge tomorrow. There needs to be a shift in thinking away from immediate returns on investment to the long-term benefits of supporting the next generation of leaders. The things I've talked about today are great, but I can admit that all the initiatives I've highlighted today won't make a meaningful difference to the problems I've outlined if they exist in isolation. It will take every organization to actively intervene in whatever way they can towards this future. To end, let me quote the brilliant 25-year-old poet, Amanda Gorman. "The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light. If only we are brave enough to say it. If only we are brave enough to be it." Thank you.